Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I made this wrap skirt. So for our fabrics, you can use the same fabric for everything in your tutorial, or you can mix and match like I've done. So you're going to need 2 strips of fabric measuring 30 by 2 inches. And then for the plain fabric, which I'm using for my ruffle, you don't have to use a plain fabric. It's 65 inches by 11 inches. And then for the main fabric for the skirt, it's going to be half of your hip measurement plus 2 inches. That's for the first one. And then the second one, as you can see on the table, one is bigger than the other. You're just going to add 5 inches to the first measurement. I hope that makes sense. So the first one is half of your hip measurement plus 2 inches, and then the second one you're going to add 5 inches to that. So I measured my waist and my hips, and then you're going to measure the distance between your waist and your hips. So for my waist is 34 inches, and I'm just trying to find out the quarter of my waist, and the quickest way to do this is just to fold your tape measure into 4, like so, as I'm doing. That would be the quickest way, or you can use a calculator, but if you don't have a calculator at hand, then definitely this is the quickest way to do it. And that's the quarter of my waist measurement. Now I'm just measuring between my waist, the top part, that will be my waist, and then that's the length between my waist and my hip, and then length of the skirt. And this, I'm just measuring out the length of my skirt. The length of my skirt will be 21 inches because I'll be adding 5-inch ruffles to the end of it. So I'm measuring out my waist measurement, which is 8.5. Then I'm adding 1 inch for seam allowance, and then we're moving on to the line in the middle, which is the distance between my hip and my waist and my hip. My hip measurement is 45 inches, so I'm just finding out what the quarter of my inch is, my hips is and the quarter of my hips is about 11, just over 11 inches, and I'm just going to mark that out. And don't forget to add 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're just going to join those lines. If you have a hip curve ruler, even perfect, but I don't have one, and my tutorial really is just to show you how straightforward some of these things are. You don't need all the equipment to be able to sew yourself a skirt. So we're going to measure the measurement for our hip plus the seam allowance, and we're just going to take away 1 inch from whatever that hip measurement is, and we'll take that to the bottom of our skirt. So that's the measurement for the length of our skirt. So at the bottom we're just using whatever the hip measurement is, take away 1 inch, and we're just going to connect that. But if you want your skirt to be straight at the bottom, then just use the same measurement you've used for your hip area and use it for the bottom area as well. But if you want it a bit tapered, then just take away 1 inch. I'm just going to cut out. This will be for the back of my skirt, so that's the back panel of the skirt. I'm just going to cut that out, and we're going to use it to mark the front panel, and I'll show you what you need to do first before you mark the back panel. I mean the front panel. This is for the back, so that's out of the way. Now for the front panel, that's with the bigger fabric. Remember, the back panel we used half of our hip measurement plus 2 inch fabric. So we're just measuring out 5" from the folded edge of our fabric. Make sure you're cutting the fabric on fold. So this is the folded part. We're just marking 5" inwards like so. Okay, once you've done that, what you're going to do is lay the back panel on top, but make sure it's on the line that you've just marked and not on the edge of the fabric. Okay, so we're just going to cut that. I've pinned down the back panel fabric. I'm just going to cut that out. So, and from on the front panel, which is the new fabric we just cut out, on the line you're going to mark about 9 or 10 inches, depending how high you want the front to look. And we're just going to, from that mark, we're going to draw a curve. Remember the opening side, so draw a curve from the line to the end of the fabric like so, like that. Not a straight line, but a bit curve. You know what a wrap skirt looks like that. And then from the mark, you're just going to draw a curve, not all the way to the top, but to the side. Just watch what I'm doing, like that. This part depends on how high you want the slit to be. You can make it lesser than 9 inches. You can make 6 inches if you don't want it too high, but I've used 9 inches for mine. And then we're just going to split the folded part open, and that's the front of our skirt. Now, depending where you'd like to tie your skirt, you can decide which one goes up or which one goes down. At this point, you could just hem the edges of your skirt and attach them together. If you're not adding any ruffle, all you have to do is just attach the back panel to the front panel and hem the edges and attach your belt. But if you're attaching, decide which side. I'm just showing you if you want to decide which side you're going to tie. I prefer to tie mine on the right hand side, so I'm just checking, just showing you. So we're going to attach the front to the back, but like I was saying, I'm going to add some ruffles to mine, so I'm going to remove 1 inch from one of the panels, from one of the fabrics. So depending on where I want to tie my skirt, so whichever one is at the top, I'm going to remove 1 inch from it, because I'll be attaching the ruffle to it. So just curve it at the end like that. I'm just going to trim that off. And once that's done, we're going to join our plain fabric, which will be for the ruffle. I'm just going to join it. So this is what it will look like. So the top part, which I've trimmed off, will be like that. So once the ruffle is joined, it will go to the edge of the fabric, and that's the back panel. So I'm just going to pin them together. pin the edges to make it easier to sew. This is very straightforward to make. Like I said, if you're not adding ruffles, just don't trim the 1 inch off. Just hem the edge and attach the back panel to the front panel like I'm doing here, and attach your belt, and yeah, your skirt is ready. But because I'm attaching the ruffle, that's why I removed 1 inch. Now we're going to attach the sides. Just sew along that way. Take your time when you're sewing. And once that's done, and this is what it looks like. You could either use the serger for the raw edges once you finish sewing, or you could do I think it's called a French seam, where you hide the raw edges inside. If you don't have a serger, I'll show you that in another video. So I've just measured the edge of the wrap skirt, just to measure how much fabric I'll be needing for my ruffle. So let's say like mine measures 27 inches. You just use double of whatever the measurement is. You're going to need double or times 3, depending how full you want the ruffle to look. Also, you can gather, instead of pleats, you can gather your fabric to create the ruffle as well. If you're gathering, you could do, just make sure it's double the length or triple the length. So what I'm doing for mine, I've folded mine, ironed it, and I'm measuring 2 inches across. And what I'm doing is joining, grab one marked end and pin it to the other marked end. So what I did is attach the 2 fabrics together, 65 inch by 11 inch, attach them and then fold them in half and iron them down. I'm just making a pleat, grab, and just it touches each other and pin it down. And you do that all across. What I should have done, I cut my fabric, but what I should have done is I could have used the old thing all around the skirt instead of cutting the fabric for each part. So I could have just used one whole length of the fabric for the edges of the skirt, but never mind, you live and learn. So for my belt, I'm showing you 2 different ways you can make your belt. You could either sew it this way and turn it right side out, or you could save yourself the stress of turning your fabric and just fold the edges. Fold the one edge halfway in and the other one halfway in, and then fold in the middle. Like, can you see? Half in and half in, and then fold together. This is much easier. You don't have to stress yourself about turning the fabric right side out. Yeah, especially when the fabric is very small and it's nice and flat, The other one I have to iron it. Right, so now I'm attaching my ruffles. First I've sewn my ruffle, then I attach it to the skirt like so. As you can see, it's looking cute already. And I'm just going to top stitch so that it can stay flat. But what I was saying is, instead of cutting the fabric, I could have just attached it all the way around instead of joining it bit by bit. And if you have a serger, or you can use it to clean up the edges, or you can just use a zigzag stitch. And I'm just going to roll the top of my skirt. I'm just doing that. There were some mistakes made whilst making the skirt. As some of you might know, I'm self-taught. I'm still learning how to make things, so I made some mistakes while not a major mistake, but I rolled them everything. That was so unnecessary when I was going to attach the ruffle anyway, so there was no need for me to roll them. But I wasn't sure whether to attach the ruffle at the bottom of the skirt, so I think that's why. But I'm just attaching the belt. So what I'm doing is fold, attach it here, and then just fold the fabric like so hides it. And I'm just going to sew that down. Like I was saying, there was loads of mistake. Not a lot. I rolled them everything instead of just the top of the skirt. And I wasn't sure whether to attach the ruffle to the bottom of the skirt or not. I'm just attaching the other belt to the other side, and like that. Yeah, so sewing, just enjoy. Don't get too stressed, okay? Just enjoy. If you make a mistake, you're learning. So make mistake, correct it if you can. If not, there's no harm in starting again, okay? I made a couple of mistakes. Even the tension of my thread is messing up as well. So, because I use it to make a tulle gown. Is it a tulle robe? That's it, a tulle robe. And because I had to keep changing the tension of the thread, since then it's been messing about, and I'm not an expert when it comes to sewing, so I'm still battling with my sewing machine. But here we go. As you can see, it doesn't really look all that nice at the back if I do not add the ruffle at the bottom. So I'm just trying it on just to see what I need to do, what else I need to do. And this is what it's looking like at the moment. So I thought, let's add some ruffles at the back. And plus is a bit too short for me. I feel exposed. So I'm just going to add ruffle at the bottom. As you can see, I've done that. What I'm going to do later is just join those two bits. But as you've seen what I was saying, if I'd left the old long strip of fabric, which measures about 130 inches, that could have gone all the way around. But never mind, I guess you can learn from my mistakes. So just leave your fabric as is and just attach it all the way around. But I hope this tutorial has been helpful and you've learned something. Don't forget to like, comment and share. Take care.